Hello, Whisky folk. Hello and welcome to another Thursday night vPub. How is everyone? Wonderful to see so many of you joining in as usual. Fantastic to have you patiently waiting for the vPub doors to open. Come in, pull up a chair in the lounge and tell us what you're sipping tonight. Really excited just now, excited to have a bit of a session with you and kind of share what's happening in May and what's been happening. May's going to be a super busy month. It's a 5 Thursday month, and that normally means that rather than decide which middle week to do the vPub, I tend to do it on both. But I'm struggling a wee bit this month, and I'll explain to you just what the schedule is shaping up to be for the rest of the month. I still intend to try and bring 3 vPubs during May if I possibly can. But let me explain a wee bit later why that's difficult. Wonder how you all are. Just before I jump in and welcome everybody tonight, see who's in the lounge already. The theme loosely tonight, again, just a kind of loose backdrop theme, is something that I tried to cover about a year ago. I forgot to look back and actually find out when I did the stream about sharing whiskey through samples. Obviously, this channel is all about kind of sharing and things, and wee bottles or sample bottles such as these are a fantastic way to do that. And one of the ideas I had for a vPub last year was for everybody to get out those samples that perhaps they haven't cracked open, they haven't fed back to whoever gave them the sample what they think of the whiskey, and they haven't really given the samples much time, maybe because they've got other whiskies and things going on. But I got a lot of feedback to say that, it sounds like a great idea, I'd love to do that, but I don't have anybody sending me samples. And that struck me, because I remember a time, and it wasn't that long ago, that I didn't have anyone sending me samples either. And we're in a community together. We're all connected, and we're becoming more and more connected. We're getting to know each other quite well. Strikes me as a fantastic opportunity to change that for the folks who want to. Of course, these things are always optional. So let's see if we can come up with a wee mechanism a bit later on to get some sample swapping happening. What do you think about that? Let's jump in to the lounge and see who's been waiting here tonight. Now, I caught a quote. Somebody mentioned a wee bit earlier that they weren't feeling very well. I think it was Steve Mills. Said he's got a bit of a flu, but he's still turning up to join the vPub. Well, I hope you take a dram, put a wee drop of honey in it, some hot water, and have some paracetamol. That tends to sort me out when I'm feeling a wee bit under the weather. We call it a hot toddy here in Scotland. I think it might be a global thing. Let's see who's in. Welsh Toro is in. Good to see you, Welsh. Carol Van Wallingham is in. Daniel Vermaas, Ebhead Rolf, Arnie Tiger, Kilted Moose, Scott, wonderful. Cresamere is in. Christine Deems, Andy is in. Arbaggy, Luna Aaron, John Della Cuisine, Alexandre Charbonneau is saying bonjour. So I'm going to try your name again. Is that Alexandra? But Charbonneau, that's my best attempt at your surname, my friend. It looks like a new name to me. Welcome in, it's nice to have you. Jimmy Jazz is in, good to see you, Jimmy. Steve A is here, he's saying, starting with a little splash of Slane before working through some samples I have. Fantastic, Steve, already getting in the spirit of it. Sam is saying, good evening, Aquavite, good evening, Sam, and welcome in. Vin from No Nonsense Whiskey is in, good to see you, see him flying the colours again, Vin. I have to be honest, see when the heating's been on in the evening in the house, upstairs gets really warm, and when I come out to do these live streams, it's always really warm upstairs. And this is one of my favourite shirts to wear. It's just a nice, comfortable shirt to wear. I need to figure out where you got these, Vin, or maybe I'll grab another couple off you. I quite like them. Ryan is in. Ryan Bennick's Whiskey World. Good to see you, and Ryan calling in from Spain, no doubt. Mo's is in. Mo's good to see you. Vito is in. I saw Vito and Brad with a guest. They had the Cast Strength guys had a live stream that went out last night. I haven't had a chance to catch up with it, Vito. I watched the first few minutes of it, but good to see you back on the Wednesday night live streams. Orbisphere is in. Good to see you. It's been a wee while since I've seen you. I think I recognise your name. Good to welcome you in again. Everwind is in. Chris Whiskey Bowman from my high school. Chris is in, good to see you. Hoagie's in from Germany, fantastic, good to see you in, Hoagie. Whiskey Crusaders is in, that's Matt, wonderful to see you in as well, Matt from Texas, great to have you here. Gus is here, good to see you, Gus. Malcolm Douglas, wow, So many of you in. John Pallister, I was trying to figure out who it was that was feeling poorly. I wonder if it was indeed Steve Mills. Let's see if I've missed any comments for me. Chris is saying a whiskey. Bowman, he's saying I'm drinking Dalmore 12 tonight because I have to use it up somehow. Seriously, Chris, are you in that? Are you that way inclined to kind of just endure it rather than enjoy it? Because that's what it was for me. And the same for the 15-year-old. It just felt very bland and washed out and made overly soft. It didn't have anything to make me want to go back for a second dram ever, and that's pretty rare for a Scotch whisky, especially one at that price. Because sometimes I'm nervous that when I'm negative about something, you know, that it's because it's always a very subjective thing, and if somebody's sitting enjoying a Dalmore 12 and having a wonderful experience with it, then you kind of want to encourage that still to happen. You want them to know that if they're enjoying it, that's absolutely a valid thing. And just because they hear somebody trash it and say that they don't like it, although I wouldn't, I wouldn't like to trash whiskey, but I'd certainly, try and describe the reasons I don't like something. But it's always subjective. I have found far too many people that feel the same way about Dalmore as I do. It's very curious. Not all Dalmores, but the Dalmore 12 and the Dalmore 15 take about. Caskmate, good to see you in. Matthias is saying, sipping a home blend Irish whiskey. It's glorious. Good for you. Mate, having some success with the home blending, which of course was the theme a couple of weeks ago. Colourless Blue Things is in. Good to see you. Good, decent evening, Roy. Wonderful to have you back in again. Nigel Slynn is also in, saying good evening. And Ben Whiskey Geek is in. Good to see you in, Ben. What was it? I watched a video of yours quite recently and I enjoyed it very much. You were comparing two whiskies. My memory is becoming quite poor. Bunnahabhain's. You compared the 18 to the 25-year-old Bunnahabhain. Enjoyed that video as well. Ben, you're bringing some good stuff. Keep at it, my friend. Let's see. And Greg from France is also here. He's saying, okay, Aquavitae and folks, I'm back, but still have to keep an eye on the upload of my latest video. Wow, Greg, good for you. But should be okay to do both. Don't want to miss the vPub. Absolutely, the upload will happen in the background, my friend. Good for you. Keith the Malted Man Cave is in, is saying, Clynelish is phenomenal. I have to agree with you. In most instances, when it's looked after, and when it's chosen well, when it's put together well, it is a phenomenal whiskey. Whiskey Crusaders is saying, Aquavitae, what do you think of Dalmore King Alexander III? Well, it's like I said, it's not every Dalmore, but King Alexander III is like super premium. It's a really expensive thing. I mean, is that the entry level to enjoyment at Dalmore? There was another one I had recently. Roberto brought me around the Portwood finish. I think that was a non-age statement from memory. And, you know, the first few sips, I was it was a wee bit different. There was at least a layer of engagement in there that was not typical Dalmore. But as it kind of went on, I just started to feel the same way about that as well. Yeah, Whiskey Wizard is saying, Aquavitae, I'm reaching for the Lagavulin in 2017 again. It's a dangerous thing, Whiskey Wizard, isn't it? Because it's good. And that's the problem I had with it. I've got one bottle left and it's still sealed. I would like to keep it sealed for as long as I can. Actually bought the 2018 one. So that's also sealed. I need to or did I open that on a live stream actually? I can't even remember now. But yeah, I know exactly what it's like. It's tough to reach past the ones that you're enjoying. Jason Whiskey Wise, you star, he's in looking after me again tonight. He's saying, I've just got to get some dinner and we'll be back in 20 minutes. You take your time, don't throw your food down, and we'll see you when you get back, my friend. Stephen Davison is saying, I see more of that Clynelish 1995 signatory was released yesterday on the Whiskey Exchange, but sold out straight away. Yeah, I can imagine it's not hanging about anymore. And again, Clynelish isn't just attracting the drinkers like us that really want to get hold of this stuff and taste how good it is. But Clynelish is, unfortunately, it's a bit of a rising star for investors as well. It's just the way of it. Zach Andrews is in. Good to see you in, Zach. Fantastic. Very glad to hear that you've finally received your package of coins. Can I just mention that recently Zach Andrews has been one of the people that got in touch to say, Roy, you know what, I haven't had my coins delivered yet. I was able to show Zach the package and the label and things like that I'd I sent it to him and reassured him that I had sent it. So it made us just have a wee bit more patience. And eventually, after weeks and weeks, I shipped that in February, and it turned up, I think, late April for Zach. It was terrible how long it took. All I can imagine is that maybe it ended up on a boat rather than a plane for some reason or whatever, but I always ship these things airmail. But somebody else got in touch with me recently as well to say that they're also waiting on a package. So I would like anybody that's not received their package from me. Now, I have to be honest, in the last week, I haven't shipped anything out. I need to replace my printer or try and fix it somehow. All the postage labels that I've got in the queue there, I've not been able to print off. No excuses. I'll get something sorted with that tomorrow or very early next week. And so if you've ordered in the last few days, don't panic. But if you've ordered in February or March and you still don't have it yet, please get in touch, and I'll do what I can to try and remedy things. Most everyone, like I say, there's only 2 packages I'm aware of now that still haven't arrived at their destination. I'm so glad that Zach finally got his. Jimmy Jazz is saying, having my first Kleinleisha signatory 18-year-old, very nice. Now I wonder which bottle is it from. Is it just from one of the narrow bottles, one of the 46% bottlings? But it's often very, very good. We've got Craig in. How come every time I pop into the vPub, I'm offshore on a stinky oil rig with no dram allowed? Ah, disaster. Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like. When I was trying to have dry days and dry weeks, I would often end up down the YouTube rabbit hole, right, watching whiskey videos. And it's just too difficult. It's too difficult when they're talking about whiskey and enthusing about whiskey, not to reach for one. But I guess, Craig, if you're out there in that oil rig, you're not even going to be able to reach out and grab one. So I can't encourage you to jump off your dry wagon tonight. Donald Ranson saying, hey, Roy, what's your opinion on Aberlour 16? It was selling here for about $80 and was considering giving it a go. Aberlour 16, you could get at a very, very reasonable price here for quite a while, a couple of years back. And I found it to be a very nice whiskey, but Aberlour 16 for me is a wee bit ruined by its bottling strength. For me, it wouldn't stop me recommending it to a lot of people. It's a fantastic sherry-style space cider. And at 40% ABV, I think that's a good strength for a lot of people if you thought that they might enjoy that style of whiskey. It is a good whiskey, and if you're getting it at a fair price, go ahead. But bear in mind that at 40%, if you are enjoying your whiskies and enjoying a lot of whiskies, 40% very quickly becomes a wee bit soft and can often make you feel like there's something lacking. Not always, but sometimes. I've had a virtual dram in. Somebody sent in a kind virtual dram. Just let me catch who that is. That's Tash Dons 7. I wonder, I know who you are. Is that Tashi? He's saying, hi Roy, please enjoy a dram from me whenever you visit the Bonaccord again. It is. So did I talk about this, Tash? No, it was on a Patreon. I did a Patreon stream last week and I talked about it. I bumped into in the Bonaccord Tashi from Washington, originally from Tibet, now a Washington resident. He bumped into me in the Bonaccord. Now, it just so happened that the Whiskey Club was on that night, and there was a spare seat. There was a no-show, and Tashi was able to join as a guest. And then the next day, we were able to hang out at Deanston together for a wee while. Just a wonderful kind of serendipitous opportunity to reach out and meet with somebody in the community. Fantastic. You'll be home now, Tashi, I think, maybe suffering from a wee bit of jet lag. But I'll raise this wee dram and say thank you very, very much for your virtual dram. I should tell people what I've got in front of me as well. Sláinte, my friend. Connor Strang is in. Good to see you in, Connor. Welcome. Hoyt is in as well. Fantastic, Hoyt. Wonderful. And Reb Mordecai is in as well. Good to see you, Reb. I know it's a wee bit late for you. You must be staying up late tonight. Perhaps not got too many commitments in the morning. Good to see you in, Reb. Okay, so the sample thing. What I have in front of me here tonight is I have 5 samples, actually. I've just poured little amounts of each, not so much. It is a school night after all, right? And I've poured these 5 out because these samples have been sitting here a wee bit too long. This was a really nice set that I get given to me from Jason and the guys at Malt. And they've put these together blind, and they've just marked it with some coloured dots on the top. So I've kind of put them in Corresponding glasses, I'm just going to go through them. There's a slip of paper in there. It's not in an envelope or anything. And as I glanced at it, I caught the word Fetter Cairn. But that's the only thing. And I realised what I was looking at. And I said, right, I'm not going to look at that. And I'm going to sip these blind. Not because I want to try and guess the whiskies, and not even that I want to test the whiskies on this occasion. I don't want to test me or the whiskies, but because I'm sure that malt would only send out good or interesting samples, right? But just because, especially with things, with distilleries as we've talked about already, that I might not enjoy first approach. If you're told that it's from a distillery that you've not had great experiences with, you kind of come at it from a negative angle. Would you agree? And sometimes it's nice just to enjoy a whiskey and say, yes, I like that, I enjoy it. And then to discover perhaps it's something that you wouldn't normally pick yourself. So here are 5 samples from malt that have been sitting here a wee bit too long. And I probably should have said thank you for these, which I'm sure I did, and maybe given some feedback though about what I thought of them. And I think especially when probably Jason, this would have been Jason for sure, has put it together in a kind of blind lineup. I don't think he did this for all his patrons, but he did it for me. So it's kind of fun to do it in a blind setup, and why not do it tonight as we're talking about samples. Over my shoulder here, you'll see I emptied one of my drawers here. It's full samples, and there's another drawer here that's also full. So I need to start actively sharing these, enjoying them, and get through them and feed back to people what I think. But I'm at the stage that a lot of them, I don't know who they're from. So when we talk about this sample exchange idea that I have, I'm going to give you some tips about how to label a sample bottle and how to put it together in order for it to arrive at its recipient successfully. This one doesn't tell me who it's from, but I know that it's from Rolf, and I can even see a wee Norwegian flag because it's a Meakin, a Norwegian whiskey. Or is it Myken? Meakin or Myken, I'm not sure. It's an Arctic single malt. So this is a really curious, cool thing to try that Rolf sent me, and yet probably because of the backlog of samples that I have, I've not had a chance to get round to it. I think we should. I think we should make an effort. And I've got a wee idea I want to share, just to kind of start a wee bit of no money involved. Of course, there's cost involved. There's cost in the whiskey, in the bottles, and especially in the shipping. But in the scheme of things, if it saves you spending several pounds, several dollars on a bottle because you sampled it first and decided, it's okay, I can let that fly. Or maybe let you try something you really loved, then I think it's probably money well spent. Would you agree? Rolf was saying Aquavitae warning, very young, 3.5 years. Listen, last year, Rolf, albeit it was aged in the southern states of the US and Texas and things, I was trying things at 21 and 23 months and thinking it was quite amazing. Quite amazing. So I think I'll run through Jason's samples tonight and give him some feedback. He's often in. He's perhaps not in tonight, but that doesn't matter. I'll still give him feedback. Blast of apples from this first one, which is Jason's Red Dot. Lots of apples, lots of creamy malt. Skogsmard, good to see Skogsmard saying, what do you think about bottles which come with either a sample of itself or something else, usually similar? For example, Master Malt's Ardbeg 10, which comes with a sample of Ugadal. Listen, it's a great idea, but it's targeted at people that, in order for them to branch out and try different things and not kind of buy brand after brand after brand, which is something that whiskey suffered from for years and years and years, for generations. Families had their brand of whiskey that they would drink. And I'm talking about Scotland here, probably much further afield as well. But the modern way of enjoying whiskey is by variation and exploration, right? So I think it's good to suggest that kind of thing. Prestige Liquids, Andrew is in. Good to see Andrew saying that's the beauty of mini bottles. You get a decent sample for a fraction of the price. Yeah, it can be expensive. I mean, even the companies that do this, they take a full bottle, they break it down into little sample bottles, and then they ship it out. We're paying a lot more than the fraction of whiskey from that big bottle, right? Because of the time involved in repacking it, the cost, the additional costs and things. But yeah, exactly what I'm talking about. It's I used to love buying master of malt samples. And so the Whiskey Rev, we would often share little tasting boxes, and we would buy samples for each other of master of malt things. But I'm talking about 4 and 5 years ago, probably back when a time that we weren't exchanging samples through the mail or through whiskey clubs or meetups or anything. Haggis Muncher, Matthew's in, saying good evening. Good to welcome you in, Matthew. Great to have you here. Matthew's donated a bottle for the tasting in Glasgow. I'll tell you more a wee bit about that later. Hoyt is saying he's waiting for Red Spot to come to local stores here. You know, I'm still not convinced I've actually tried Red Spot yet. I feel like I should have. I feel like I know it was one I really wanted to try, and it's not that expensive. I think it's floating around the £100 or just north of £100. I love Yellow Spot, I love Green Spot, and I love the special edition Green Spots, the Mantelena, the Chateau Level Barton. Loved them. John Kranz is in. Good to see you, John. I agree, the Balcones Single Malt and Iron Root Harbinger are wonderful young whiskies from Texas. Fully agree. So complete eye-opener trying those whiskies over there. And for a long time, I was thinking that, you know, it's probably I was sipping them in that environment and, you know, in that climate and that atmosphere, it just makes sense that they would taste good. But actually, no, the Texas whiskies I've been sipping since I came back, despite their youth, are still very, very good. Matthew's saying he shipped his bottle today. Thank you very much, Matthew. I look forward to it turning up. Kim Bryant is saying, hi all. Bit late this evening, sipping a Glendronach 18-year-old. That'll be the Allardyce, Kevin. I hope you're enjoying it. What do you think of it? Jez is saying, sample swapping has saved me hundreds of pounds. At London Whisky Club, we do sample swaps regularly. Great fun. Whiskey is for sharing. Absolutely, Jez. And I'm just going to show something while Jez has mentioned that there. The London Whisky Club, you may know, I'm of the understanding that it actually started out of this stream, out of this these live streams. These guys got together and decided, well, let's build a club, and they've done that, and they've been very successful to the point that they're getting producers to come and do tastings and hosting events for them and things, and they've got a really nice thing going on there. I'm going to join them. I keep threatening that I'll join them, and I'm really hoping that I can do that. But they've now released their own coin, the London Whisky Club coin. On the side it's got logo, it's got some commemorative words on the side talking about their first anniversary, so they've been going a year already. And I think what's a really cool design on the B side, I don't know if that's going to focus on the coin or it's just going to stay focused on me, but it's kind of a selection of silhouettes of London landmarks. Very cool. This is coin 17, which belongs to the alchemist, Sevi. I've got my coin here, topping another dram. So there you go, Sevi. You saw it here first. Jez shipped it up. I'll hand it to you when I see you. Yeah, so Jez is saying that he's already saved quite a bit of money through doing sample swaps. So here's my idea. I'm going to give, I've got some ideas what I'm going to put in these sample bottles, but whoever wins these tonight can choose anything that they've seen me pour or share on a live stream or whatever video. They can have whatever they like. I've got my wee selection that I was going to put in it, and then I paused at the last minute and decided to keep a bit of flexibility in there. I've got an Annock 24-year-old. I've got the latest version of the Springbank Local Barley, and I've also got Glengoyne Teapot Dram Batch 6. So yeah, things that, apart from the Annock, I think you can pretty much get the Annock everywhere, but the other two, you know, maybe not so easy to come across, so it might be nice to try. But I want this to go to somebody who's going to keep these little bottles. They're going to finish them, they're going to enjoy them, they're going to try the whiskies that I send along to them. There's a 5cl here and 2 3cl bottles. And I've only put 3 in here to give some room to put a little bit of bubble wrap around. Put this in a nice padded envelope and ship it off to someone on the condition that they rinse the bottles out, put it back in the same pack, and ship it on to somebody else here. And that's kind of my idea. It's kind of, at the risk of making it seem like a wee bit like a whiskey dating agency, find people that you're willing to ship to. Remember, you're shipping alcohol, so you have to be careful of borders and customs and you know, maybe in your country, you know, the legal requirements involved in shipping alcohol. It is a concern, but if you know that there are people here that live close to you or next to you, why not use this chat, the lounge here, to say, I've got some sample bottles, I'm up for sending some samples out to anybody, or I would like to receive some samples. Nobody's ever sent me any samples. Anything like that. I live in Denmark, I live in England, I live in Texas, wherever you may be. And then just find somebody, just hook up and say, yeah, do you know what? I'm close to you. I know I can ship to you. How about we hook up? Yeah, done. If you have managed to find somebody tonight that you're willing to trade samples with, I will help you. I'll select you and I'll ship this off to you. You'll get the first pack of samples from me, and then you find somebody else to send these bottles off to, and make its way around. You know, just, we know each other now. The community's building. The same names are coming in week after week, and even if you're a new name, it doesn't take you long to get to know everyone. You know, so there's a sense of comfort there. We know that we're not dealing with a YouTube chat full of axe murderers, right? So if you're comfortable, you know, sharing your home address with people and you feel like that you've made a connection there, go ahead and swap some samples. If you start doing this, any of your social media feeds, please tag me and I'll share it. I would love to see it going on. I would love to see people getting to try things that they might otherwise be excluded from, just by, you know, the power of sharing it in wee bottles. I will give you some tips on shipping it. When you label it, and I'm guilty of this, I use sticky labels. Not ideal, because it's a pain in the backside to go down, get the warm soapy water out and peel it off, and then it doesn't all come off, the glue doesn't come off, so you're out with olive oil and all these things to try and get off the glue. Just wrap a piece of paper around it and attach it with a wee bit of sellotape. Just the paper to paper. And that means when the sample gets poured, you just pull the sleeve off. This just needs a rinse and it's ready to go again. No more messing around. And on the piece of paper, obviously write everything that Rolf's written here. This is a really nicely detailed bottle. And he tells people the ABV, the bottling date, the age, distillery expression, everything like that. But also write your name, who it's from. Because sometimes they can't be enjoyed straight away. And it's difficult, if there are a few samples coming in, to remember who sent certain samples. So just put your name, who it's from as well. If you're shipping it by airmail, this is too full, probably. Leave a wee bit more of an air gap there, just to help. And when you tighten that cap, give it another wee quarter turn if you can. Just make sure it's really nice and tightly on. I've had a few leaks in my time as well. And of course, pack it well. Just save your bubble wrap and things like that that come in, that you get in. Save a wee bit of bubble wrap and put it in a padded envelope. I've had a couple that have arrived through the door in smithereens. Okay, so hopefully there is some sample trading going on. Later on, when I do this giveaway, I'm just going to randomly pick someone, or I might, if Jason's back, I might work with Jason to randomly pick somebody that I can send some samples out to. I'll maybe just ask a random question and accept whoever. Of course, if you want the samples, remember, you might know the answer to the question, but only if you want the samples shipped to you, I'll just accept perhaps the first answer. Prestige Liquids is saying, this is incredible, Roy. People are actually willing to bring samples via holiday courier. Listen, sharing of whiskey is a very, very enjoyable thing to do, right? It's not even like you're just sharing information or you're sharing stuff. You're sharing all of that with a very visceral sensory experience. Whiskey is fantastic to share. Keith, the Malted Man Cave, good to see you. And Keith, it really is. You sure you want that much air in the sample bottle? The more room, more sloshing. In the US, if they hear sloshing, you are busted. You know, there is a bit of truth in that as well. But if you have a pop or if you have a bust, you maybe want to try and get the balance right. You don't want to ship a half full bottle like one of these, right? It's because it's going to make a lot of noise. But if you overfill it, that's when I find I have problems. And the ones that have arrived here with leaks tend to be from sets where you can see that they've been brimmed right to the top. So when I think it's to do with pressure and things like that, I guess, and in flights, you can get problems happening. Whiskey Geek sent a bottle to Roy and sent to Denmark, so would be interested at. So would be if you're interested at some point. That's Stephen Reynolds is saying that. Yeah, I've had a few samples from Stephen Reynolds, and all of them arrived safely and solidly. Stephen, thank you very, very much. Vito is sharing an Amazon link. I'll just share that so everybody can see it. I'm going to open it up to see what he's sharing. Sample bottles, perhaps, Vito? Absolutely. So those sample bottles that Vito has shared in that link, we have, in fact, these sample bottles that's in this, these are Amazon sample bottles that I've bought. I've got through probably 200 sample bottles in the last year through these live streams, right? The giveaways and things like that. I get through a lot of them now. And that's how I know about cleaning. When I'm trying to save money and cleaning some of the sample bottles that I've used and if it's sent to me, that's how I know how much of a pain it is to get them clean again, right? To get the glue off them and things like that. Jason Whiskey Wise is back. I hope you enjoyed your tea, Jason. I wonder if you had something nice. Stephen Reynolds is saying, think one never got there though. C'est la vie. Ah, wow. Did one go missing? Jez Batty is saying, we will be happy to send share samples to people in and around London sharing whiskey. Email us on londonwhiskeyclub.com. Now, Jez has some of these coins still available for sale, Jez. I think you've still got some left. Although this was the first anniversary batch, there wasn't a whole lot made. So if you're interested in adding to your coin collection, get a hold of Jez at that email address he shared, londonwhiskeyclub@gmail.com. I've also got a Train ANC coin here. Very cool, on my number 2. I have here a Scotch Test Dummies Cask 3 coin. I've got my own London Whisky Club coin. And finally, I'm using my own Aquavitae coin as well. I still have coins left. What I have to do, I'm into May now. I got those in February. And I kind of said I'd try and give people 2 or 3 months, but that's kind of getting to 3 months. So if you haven't picked up your Aquavitae coins to match your batch 1 coins, you're probably going to get a wee email from me just to say, do you still want these? I don't want to be pushy or anything. Nobody's required to take these. That's optional. But if you want them, I would hate for me to have said, okay, they don't want them, and I've gone off and sold them to someone else, and then you come on saying, hey, yeah, you know, do you have my numbers in batch 2? That would be a disaster, quite awkward. So I'll send you a little email. If you've never had a batch 1 coin before, you want to pick up one of these coins, I still have some left. I think I've got 70 coins left because I doubled up on the quantity that I ordered last year. Last year was 250, this year 500. So it's meant that I've had more for longer, which is the right thing to have done. So let me know if you're interested in any of these as well. We can't find a rare. The Doc is in. Good to see you in, Doc. And Triquetra UK is also in. Love the idea of sharing, but concerned that my collection may be too readily available, that people may have tasted most of them. Well, here's the thing. When you're sharing samples, even if it's standard things that you have in your collection, you maybe feel that's probably just humility. Put the samples that you're enjoying, put into sample bottles and send blind. And if you're a wee bit nervous that the person who's receiving the sample at the other end is maybe a bit further down the whiskey journey, or some snobbery, or you know, they've kind of got much more niche in their tastes, or however you want to phrase it, right? Don't worry, give it to them blind, and then put it in a wee envelope or a piece of paper that's sealed up with a wee bit of tape, so they can taste it first blind, decide what they think of it, give it a kind of notional score first, and then reveal what it is. It's a wonderful thing to do. It's a wonderful thing to do to keep our feet on the ground and to keep us grounded and not become obsessed with disliking things through branding, for example. Caskmate Everything Whiskey is saying, can't send you a virtual dram tonight, but I desperately want to for introducing this idea to the crew. Matthias, you never, ever needed to send me a virtual dram. That, just saying thanks like that is more than enough, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Right, let's get on with these drams from Jason. I should say the team at Malt. Maltreview.com. Independent whiskey review site, doing very, very well, doing great things. Gregor is saying, okay, I'll add my idea on the video comments. As you didn't see it, too many messages, no problem. Yeah, sorry, Gregor, if I'm missing you. DJ Beacon is saying, great suggestion to send out what you like and share it with others, and do it blind to make it more interesting and exciting. That's right, and you can quite quickly figure out when you make these connections whether people enjoy the blind element of it. I tend to find most people do. I'm just scrolling back to see if I can catch Gregor, if he's been trying to catch my attention. I know it's difficult, guys. I know the chat goes past very, very quickly. 190 of you in just now, so it gets a wee bit busy. I am looking out for the ones that are highlighted to at Aquavite, so if you do at Aquavite, I should be able to see it. Jason Coates is in. Good to see you, Jason. Saying from Jason. It's really a bit vague in this community. There are so many Jasons. It's quite incredible how many Jasons. If you're christened Jason, you're destined to enjoy whiskey. I think that's what we take from that. But yeah, we would know you as Jason Coates, my friend. Roy Evans is in. Good to see you. And it looks like Love Street is in as well. Roy's talking to Love Street, talking to Neil. Sounds like a plan. Okay, it looks like they're making plans for the Glasgow gig, perhaps. Prestige Liquids is saying, this community is a testament you and other whiskey tubers that help to promote the beauty of the community. Whiskey demands it, Andrew. Whiskey demands it. Gregor, good to see you. And Gregor is saying, Aquavite have sent out 5 sets of your format of blind tastings, always met with resounding success. Gregor, I think it was you were one of the guys that encouraged me to brand that and actually get a thing going to make it a branded thing, the Aquavite Blind Challenge, that you could actually buy. You never know, right? You never know. This is similar to the first one, on first approach. So the first one to me is very typical of a bourbon matured space cider. And I think on the nose, the first one came across as cask strength. It's my first guess. I had a wee sip of it as well now that I remember. I'm pretty sure it is cask strength. This one, cask strength again. A wee bit sweeter, malt, cereal. 10 or 12 years into the teens, maybe, that kind of age. Quite nice. Nice long finish. Feels like a space cider to me as well. So both these 1 and 2, which is the red dot and the white dot, I think are in the realms of Scotch, cask strength, space ciders, probably independent bottlings, that kind of thing. Oh wow, number 3 is a blue dot. Oh, that's a peach. This is a wee bit older. I think it's a wee bit older. So a wee bit reminiscent of a Clynelish. Gorgeous texture to it as well. Nice sweetness at the core. Could there be just the teeniest? No, I thought maybe it, don't know. Thought I got a wee bit of smoke, maybe not. I know this isn't particularly exciting watching this, but I just want to run through these and give you some feedback on this cool little sample set that the guys at Malt sent out. I think they send these out periodically to patrons, depending on your support tier. Okay, wow. Okay, this one is the yellow dot. This is really floral. There's lots of really, this takes it almost like a potpourri thing. But there's another thing in here that I don't love. And it's heavy oak. To the point like it's freshly polished oak, like cabinet oak. Carries onto the palate. Lots of oak, lots of floral notes. It's a good whiskey. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's kind of one, it's maybe just that kind of degree or two to the sickly side of sweet for me. Jeez, wow. Well, look at the colour of this. I don't know if you can see. Obviously, the glass is very black, but this green dot, so that second last one was yellow dot. This green dot, just bang. Dry, delicious sandalwood sherry notes. Just so where the woodiness on this is kind of like I said, like a polished cabinet type wood, as opposed to like a shaved dry wood, like fresh wood. This is spiced wood, like a sandalwood thing. This is like Glendronach. But I think there's a good age on this one as well, this green one. So let's grab the piece of paper. Huge green element in the middle, like a mentholy thing. Green. Oh, what's that? That's a surprise. That's not what I was expecting. I was expecting that typical Glendronach, Glenfarclas experience, but there's not. There's a kind of herbal bordering on a medicinal thing in the middle. Anyway, I know it's not interesting. It's a wee bit dull, but I'm going to say Speyside, independent bottling, cask strength. The one in the middle, I think similar. Not even keeping up with the chats here. Well, that's good though. That's the Clynelishi one in the middle. Very Clynelishi. The yellow one and the fifth one I kind of know about. Rebus Roy, I know exactly what you're saying. The older Tullibardens are very cocktail walnut wood cabinet smell and taste. Amy's in, good to see you. And Amy, have a great night, even morning friends, and hit that like to show appreciation for Roy. Somebody was talking to me recently and they were asking me about the channel, and I think they were coming from they're very familiar with Instagram. And as you scroll through your Instagram feed, I think it's as soon as you recognize somebody you follow and an image you like, you just click like. It's just like a muscle memory thing when you're in the Instagram realm, that you just like the photos that you recognize. And she said to me, she said, why, how come it measures views? You know, you've got like 1,000 views, but you've only got like 80 likes. What's that? I said, no, 80 likes is fantastic. It's really good. And she said, is it? How hard is it to hit the like button? And immediately Amy popped into my head. That's why Amy's here, to remind us all what I am terrible at as well, especially on YouTube, especially if we're watching it on a full screen on a smartphone or a tablet. The like button's not in reach. But you don't need to hit the like button. It's only if you intend to, but perhaps forget. And maybe you don't like something. Maybe you want to leave a don't like button. Anyway. So this is the card with, I hope, the okay. So White Spot, I said was that's the first one on the list. I said was a Space Cider. I can't even read that. The Patreon bottle. Oh wow, I can't read your writing, Jason. It looks like a Patreon bottle. I wonder, is that a? It looks like Tanahan or something. Never seen it. The Red Spot isn't Red Spot. The Red Spot is an SMWS 7.196 from the shower to the boudoir. Wow, that's the one I got lots of apple from. So I don't know. We need to check which distillery number 7 is. The Blue Spot, the one that I loved. Wow, you're kidding me on. The Blue Spot is a Fettercairn. The one that I even went to so far as to suggest that it was very Clynelishi, and it is. It's a Fettercairn, but it's a 1988 29-year-old Fettercairn. Wow. The SMWS number 7 was a 13-year-old, so we'll find out what that is in a minute. The one I didn't like was the Yellow Spot, and it's the Gordon and MacPhail Scapa distillery label, 2005 to 2018 at 43%. It's just very oaken, very oaken. I didn't really enjoy Scapa Skieren either, but the old Scapa 16-year-old was a fantastic whiskey. And finally, this heavily sherry-laden one is a Glengarry. Wow. A 1997 to 2017, a 20-year-old hand-fill Glengarry, first fill sherry. So there you go. So I'm going to sit here and enjoy these fantastic whiskies, none of which have I even happened across, let alone tried. And that's the beauty of the sample share. Finn has sent over a virtual dram and said, cheers, Roy, as usual, I need to run to bed. I guess he's missed weight. Can't wait to meet everyone up in Glasgow on the 18th. So a week on Saturday, we're getting together in Glasgow. Really excited about that. Scottish Taste Dummies are going to come over here on Friday. On the Saturday, we're going to do a hosted event at the tasting. It's sold out, although there is one guy, and he's in here tonight, who has still not booked his arrangements. So there might be one space open up. I'm holding a wee waiting list. If you want added to the waiting list, let me know. Then in the evening, there's a completely open gathering at the Bonaccord in Glasgow. It's not ticketed or anything. Just come along and say hello to us and hang out with us for a little while in the evening on Saturday, the 18th of May in Glasgow. You get to meet Scott and Bart over from Kansas, the Scotch Test Dummies. Fantastic guys. Hoagie's asking, any idea what the 2019 Fischl Lagavulin bottling will be? I have no idea. I may have a better idea, Hoagie, when I get over there. Because I'll be over there the week before Fischl for a couple of days. But whether they're willing to let out, I mean, they might tell us, right? So let's see what SMWS distillery number 7 is. I'm sure that somebody in the lounge has already told us what number 7 is. It is Longmorn. Wow. So that was number, was it White Spot, was it? No. Red Spot, the first one. That was the very appley one. So for me, Longmorn's usually very, or Longmorn 16, my favourite Longmorn that was available to buy for quite a while, was super pineapple. Terrific. Number 7 is Longmorn. Prestige Liquids is saying, in your own opinion, what do you consider to be the most underrated introductory whiskey? Glenmorangie 10. We just cruise past it. We just say, oh, look at it. It's Glenmorangie 10, you know, when you consider the volumes that Glenmorangie go through, okay, they're not a Glenfiddich scale. But back when everyone was dropping age statements on their standard bottlings, and I'm talking about Glenfiddich, and I'm talking about Glenlivet, and, you know, non-age statements were the order of the day. Glenmorangie 10 kept its age statement. And what's quite interesting is that the Kintaroo ban has recently, it's always been a 12-year-old, so they would take the Glenmorangie 10 and then they would put it in a certain amount of time. And in case of the Kintaroo ban, it was port pipes, wasn't it? And La Santa is another one in the range that was sherry, I believe. And what's the other one? Nectar d'Or, which I think is Sauterne. So they would have this additional maturation, but they would put it out as a 12-year-old. And they stuck to that. Recently, now I know that when those were launched, perhaps they were launched as non-age statements, but when everybody was going from age to non-age statement, Glenmorangie went from non-age statement to age. And recently the Kintaroo ban has gone from a 12-year-old expression to 14-year-old, and it looks like it's going to stay at the same price. And it's 46%. The Glenmorangie 10, I answered flippantly Glenmorangie 10, but it's one of those whiskies that because of the branding, because we recognise it, because we know it's Glenmorangie 10, we just cruise past it. The next time you're in a bar or something and they don't have a big whiskey selection, I bet they've got a Glenmorangie 10. Order it. Let it sit in the glass for a while. Stick your face in it and tell me if you don't smell fresh tropical pineapple. Wonderful fresh smells. So that was an easy way for me to get out of your, to answer your question there, Andrew. Colours Blue thinks it's saying Nectar d'Or and Kintaroo ban 12, both great. I'll have to look out for the 14. So it's going to take a while for the supply chain, right, to clear out of the 12-year-old Kintaroo ban, but the 14-year-old is now out now. So they've upped the age statement. Another wee sign that capacity is catching up as well. Scotch on the Bayou, Leanne is in. Good to see you in, Leanne. Good to welcome you here. Cresamere is saying, had the Kintaroo ban 12 last 2 weeks ago. Can't wait for the 14. And Jason, Glenmorangie 10, good with Iron Brew. Jason's a fantastic guy, one of the most knowledgeable guys, one of the nicest guys you'll meet when you get to shake his hand in the whiskey community. Unfortunately, he's got a terrible memory and he forgets what it's like to have experiences with perfectly valid whiskies like Glenmorangie 10. I don't know if you were in earlier, Jason, but I sipped my way through this fantastic set of samples from you. I know I've had them too long, my friend, but I'm really, really enjoying them. The one I really enjoyed, the one I have to say was probably my favourite of the lineup, turns out to be a Fetter Cairn. And the one I wasn't too sure of, a wee bit oaky for me, a wee bit sickly oak. Tonight, maybe change tomorrow, was a Scapa. Whiskey Wims is in. Good to see you in, Stuart. Good to welcome you here. Enjoy a Dramroy. If anyone wants to send samples, hit me up on Instagram, Whiskey Wims. Good. Got to go to bed. Cheers, Roy. Thank you very, very much, Stuart. I'll raise this Glengarry and say Slantia. Stuart has got his own channel. He's putting out his own content. He's a fellow Scot like me. I think he's from the Central Belt somewhere. Can't remember. Yeah, but he's starting to do his own reviews over on Whiskey Wims on YouTube. Slantia, Stuart, my friend, thank you. Hoagie Bear is saying Aquavita Nectar d'Or has totally transformed, was quite Sauternesy now and old style spicy, slightly peaty Highlander, really weird. So does that mean weird in a good way, Hoagie, or in a negative way? I'm curious to find out. Red Mordecai is saying, well, I forgot the Deanston Virgin Oak, another stunning budget whiskey. I have to say that I have to agree with you. It is a wee bit okay, but for me, it's done in a balanced way. I do really enjoy it, and it's very affordable. Although when it was in the £20 here, it was a no-brainer. It's now crept up here. The pricing seems to be creeping close to the 12. And that gives Virgin Oak a big problem. The 12-year-old is too good a whiskey to my palate. to give Virgin Oak much of a chance at that kind of, if it creeps into the £35 or more price range. McAllen Fine and Rare Doc is saying, I think the Glenmoe move from 12 to 14-year-old is smart marketing. Surprise customers by unexpected action. They said in their press release that they've listened to customers and they know that customers are enjoying their products at an older age. And they also felt that the extra 2 years helped the whiskey to pop. I've got my own suspicion that in order to make that Quinta Ruban well, they were using older stock anyway. And they probably just decided to, let's just declare that it's older. Since we're using so much older stock, let's just make it a 14-year-old. Because as I said earlier, I don't think the price has increased that much. Okay, we're almost on for an hour already. Of course, I'm going to keep it less than 2 hours tonight. I will. I'm actually going to try and keep it a wee bit neater than that because things right now are a crazy, crazy, hectic, busy for me just now. I'm burning a candle at both ends and struggling to keep up. And tonight I've got a really busy day. I'm taking the kids to a thing for their music school tomorrow morning quite early. So I'm going to try and keep it quite neat tonight. There is a quiz. There's always a quiz at the end. And if you're up for having some participation in the quiz, please stay to the end and let me know. But let me give away my set of samples here. Let me do a giveaway. Let me just think up a random... Okay, here's a good thing. Let me think of a random thing. The first person to answer this right, please only answer, not because you know and you want to show that you're knowledgeable, but because you want to be the guardian of these wee sample bottles. And when you take these, you'll enjoy the whiskies I put in these for you. And then you'll pack them back up and you'll ship them on relay fashion to somebody else who's offered that they would like to enter into a sample exchange in the lounge in the chat tonight. If you're interested in getting involved in that, please answer this question. Please don't answer if you're not interested in getting involved in that. Because the person to answer correctly first on my stream, and know that it's not always the same order where you are, it's to do with, you know, when it arrives here. Tell me, Longmorn, this is the question to get to win these samples. Longmorn is SMWS code number 7. Tell me, what is SMWS code number 1? So if you were to buy an SMWS bottling, 1 dot something, what distillery would it be from? What was the first ever cask bottled by SMWS, which would have been by Pip Hills and his crew way back in 1983. That does not appear in the quiz tonight. Okay, we have Jason Coates. It looks like Jason Coates answered first with Glenfarclas. Jason, my friend, if you're willing to... Now, are you not in Canada? Are you Canadian? Because if you're Canadian, this is going to be tough. Let's see who's the second one up to answer after Jason, in case he is in Canada. Whiskey Freedom is next. Now, Whiskey Freedom is Fraser. He's down in England. That's no problem at all. And Connor Strang, I'm surprised it probably just took you a wee bit longer to type Glenfarclas, Connor, because I know for sure that you would have known that. Okay, so let's go. Number 2 was Whiskey Freedom. Tell me, Jason, if you think it's okay for me to ship these samples to you. Jason Coates, number 1. And you can be the first custodian. And I won't put sticky labels on this. I'll put paper labels held together with sellotape. I won't overfill the bottles. I'll make sure they're sealed nicely, and you'll know that it's from me. I'll pack this up nicely, and I'll get it shipped out to you. Connor Strang is number 3. But I hope that after you've enjoyed the samples I sent to you, and we can work together, you can talk to me and tell me if you're interested in the Anok 24 I've got here, the local barley 9-year-old, and what was the other one I brought up? Glengoyne Teapot Dram Batch 6. If those sound like good samples to you, we'll just go ahead and do it. But if you want to switch it up and add something else that you know I've got open, no problem. Tony Nelson, good to see you. And Tony, he's telling me Jason Coates is in the US. I'm in the US. You've shipped me a sample previously. Okay, good. We're good. Like I say, I've probably got through about 200 sample bottles from Amazon, so I don't always remember what's made it and what hasn't. So many of you answering Glenfarclas. So many of you knew, of course, that it was indeed Glenfarclas. Wonderful. So some other news. I've been speaking recently. Sebi the Alchemist is in. He's saying, I can give you some parafilm. Nothing leaks through that. Oh, Richard Holstein is, I think I was second right according to the feed. You may have been, Richard, but what tends to happen is just because of latency and things and just because of how it stacks, sometimes the order that I read the chat, and I know that this has caught me out in the past before, is in a slightly different order. So what I would tend to do is I would go back here if there was any kind of, and I would take a screen grab so that everybody could see that I'm playing it absolutely straight. But it looks like I'm going to be able to ship to Jason Coates anyway, so we should be in good shape. Aquavitae, when you get the chance, Andrew is saying, could you check your email? I have sent you a request for a small collaboration if you're willing. I am a wee bit delinquent in messages generally, and I noticed that quite recently. I'm scanning through emails, and there's some things I'm saying I need to try and get to that later. It's just the way it is right now. If I am delinquent, I will get to your messages eventually, and I apologise and just ask for everyone's patience. It is becoming tougher and tougher as time goes on, but I'm still all about communicating in the community and things, and I'll do my very best to keep up with everything. Andrew, I'll look out for your email, my friend, so I apologise. Jason Coates is saying that he is in the US. I caught that. The Party Source Reviews has come on, said just saying hi, have not stopped in for a while. Thank you very, very much for your virtual dram. I'm sure I have seen you in before, but I don't remember your name. No worries, Party Source. I'm going to raise this nice glass of Longmorn and say slant you for your generous virtual dram. I got the rest of it right. I said that it was a space cider. Said it was cast strength. Said I thought it was an independent bottler. Ebhead is saying beard oils, wink. So you're not allowed to send whiskey samples over a lot of borders. But I think he's suggesting that if we were to send beard oils to each other, that would be okay. Whiskey Freedom Fraser is saying, you're a straight bat Aquavitae. Well, what's the alternative, Fraser, right? What's the alternative? You try to be. It's easy to make mistakes sometimes. Mark R is saying, enjoying the blue hanger sample you encouraged me to open. The blue hanger sample. What is that, Mark? Remind me. Regardless, if I encourage you to open something that you're enjoying, I'm very glad. Hoyt is off to work on a video conference, and saying thanks, Roy. Thank you very much, Hoyt, for joining in. I think you're coming over this year, and I'm looking forward and hoping that we have an opportunity to meet. Donald Rance is saying, cheers, Roy and fellow whiskey folks. He's also off to the subway now, and I'll catch the rest and have a dram at some point this weekend when I'm not on call. Cheers, Donald. Thank you so much for joining us and dropping in for a wee while again. It's always great to welcome you in here. Everyone to saying Aquavitae, it's hard to an internet celebrity. Pretty soon you will have to deal with paparazzi and whiskey stalkers. I doubt that, everyone. Andrew's saying, please don't stress. I only just sent it before the chat. Haha. Okay, it's brand new in. All right, good. Zach Andrews is saying, I'm now all three of the local barley varieties since you sent me a sample. So you love the local barley. It's that texture and that flavour and the complexity and the shape shifting of it and things. And I know it's pricey. I know it's £90, £95 here. But it is cast strength, and it is a very, very unique thing. Whether that makes a huge difference or not, but damn, it's been good. It's been good. Mark Slinger is saying only a week to go until the tasting. I wonder if anybody realises when I host that tasting a week on Saturday that it'll be my first public tasting. I've never hosted a tasting before. I don't feel nervous about it right now. It'll be interesting to see how I am on the day. What does it say? Do something every day that scares you. I always say that, I'll settle for once a year doing something that scares me. McAllen Fenner Real Doc is saying, ship small bottles as biohazard. bovine urine samples, and they will go through. Nobody wants to keep bovine urine hanging about, I guess, right? So yeah, I was going to mention that I've got a cool invitation to do a collaboration up at Loch Lomond. There's a very, very specific idea, something I want to do, and Loch Lomond is absolutely the distillery that you would pick probably out of all the Scottish distilleries, or let's say the distilleries close to me certainly, to do this concept, to share this concept in a video. So I'm looking forward, and I'm planning to go up to Loch Lomond in early June to do, and it's very specifically about the way that things are done at Loch Lomond. It's quite a very unique distillery there. And also they're in the ascendancy. People are discovering, the whiskey tubers have been talking about Loch Lomond, the whiskey community in general, the wider whiskey community in various social media feeds and blogs and things. People are excited generally about a lot of things that Loch Lomond are bringing now. And they've shifted, you can see that there's a shift in their focus, that there's more to their armory than there is than just price point whiskies. They're able to curate some wonderful, wonderful whiskies. And we've discovered that with the Loch Lomond 12, with the Loch Lomond 18, a fabulous whiskey. The Inchmore, the Inchmurrin ranges from them. Really good stuff. So it's a nice, exciting opportunity. And what I like about it is the idea that maybe there are distilleries out there that don't consider the YouTubers as maverick mouthpieces, that we do that we do put the community very much front and center. And it is about sharing, and it is about talking about what these distilleries are doing and how they do it. And in order for us to do that well, we need access. There needs to be an element of collaboration. So I'm really looking forward to going up to Loch Lomond in early June to meet with the team up there. And they seem to be on board with the concept that I want to share. You know, if I do a video, it's not kind of going to be a distillery or a brand advertisement ever. When I do these kind of concepts, it's with the view to sharing something that excites me. And they would be a great example of doing that. Daniel Vermas is saying, will also be my first tasting. Daniel, I'm looking forward to welcoming you for your first tasting as I host my first tasting. Jens Roger Christofferson is in, he's saying, made 3 sample friends tonight. Great idea. Fantastic. Like I say, and if you're on social media as well, please tag me in this as these samples arrive, or as you're packaging these up and shipping them out. Take a wee photo and send and tag. We should really have a hashtag going. What would it be? Somebody come up with a good hashtag for this so that we can follow hashtags. Tom Harrison. Tom, I was speaking to you about you a wee bit earlier. Tom is the guy I was talking about that hasn't received his coin yet. We're all going to keep our fingers crossed and hope that Tom gets his batch 2 coin. Zach Andrews is in tonight, Tom, and I mentioned him earlier as well, and it took, I think, 8 weeks, it must be, or maybe 9 weeks, for Zach to have received this package. Just some crazy stuff going on. I don't know what the store was there. Work your magic and get Aquavita a spot on the next rocket to the International Space Station so he can be the first to do a whiskey review from space. I don't think I've got the physical fitness for that, but it would be awesome, wouldn't it? Mark Slinger is saying it'll be his first as well. Okay, a lot of whiskey tasting virgins coming descending on Glasgow on the 18th. I'm really excited for that. Listen, the main event is the gathering in the evening. Like I say, the open event. So if you think you can get to Glasgow for the evening of Saturday the 18th, come along to the Bonaccord North Street in Glasgow and say hello. The Alchemist is saying, saw that you were talking about Aberlour earlier. I have been drinking the Cask Anna. Was surprised it's non-chill filtered and 46%. Have you tried it? What do you think? A lot softer and floral than Abuna. I don't have a memory of trying it yet, but I'm curious to try it. And yeah, I was struck by its presentation. And it seems to be just a slightly softer presented Abuna, but very much in the Aberlour style. Curious one. So did you buy a bottle of that, Sevi? Another thing that we've got coming up as well is with the Alchemist Sevi and Kilted Moose. Is he in tonight? Yes. Scott is in, and I mentioned about this, the head of the stream. Scott, Sevi, and I, Kilted Moose, the Alchemist, and myself, is is a small celebration, a small marker for Sevi's dad. We're going along to Douglas Lane in Glasgow for the afternoon, and I'm really looking forward to that. Unfortunately, it comes at a time that it's super intense, but we've been trying to arrange this for so long that you've just kind of got to commit and do it. But it's on Thursday the 16th when I've got a live stream cancelled. Sorry, a live stream scheduled that I don't want to cancel. And then, of course, I've got the weekend, the gathering and the tasting and everything happening Friday, Saturday through Sunday. I've got lots of things going on. But I will try and keep the vPub going on that Thursday night. It also means that the Thursday after that, which would then be the 23rd, would that be? Yes, Thursday the 23rd. I'll be in Edinburgh with the Scotch Test Dummies. That'll be their last night. I'll be taking them to their airport hotel. If their airport hotel has a decent internet connection, we'll try and do a vPub. And that'll be an interesting vPub if we can pull that off, because you'll be able to interact with Scott and Bart and understand how their week or so in Scotland and their week in Ireland has been for them. Cresamere is suggesting hashtag Dramshare. Carol Van Wallingham has said Dramshare. Stephen Davison, Scotchshare. Excellent. So Dramshare looks good. vPub samples. Yeah, but I mean that would make it very much connected to me in this thing here. I would like it to be just a wider thing. Dramshare. Why not? Let's check it out and see if anybody is already using and following Dramshare just now. Traveling Drams, Mark Harris saying. Nigel Slynn is saying a vPub on location. Yeah, we're very much going to try that. I mean, the vPub is like a Thursday night thing, okay? But outside of that kind of ad hoc little, if we have strong internet connection wherever we're going to be, whether it's on the Saturday, on the Sunday, on the Monday, just kind of keep an eye out on the social media feeds. Twitter, I'm @aquaviti_SCO for Scotland, @aquaviti_SCO on Twitter. I'm simply Aquaviti on Instagram, Aquaviti the Water of Life on Facebook. Just remember Aquaviti's got that annoying V instead of a U. And that way, and also you can follow the Scotch Test Dummies social media feed as well. And if we've got the opportunity to connect with anyone and to keep you up to speed with things through social media or tell you where we're going to be, we'll let you know through social media. For example, I fully expect that on Monday night, which will be the 20th, yes, Monday the 20th of May, I think we'll be in Bamore on Isla. And I think we'll be out in Bamore. We'll be at the Lochside Inn, perhaps, or one of the pubs around there. We'll be in Bamore. On the Wednesday night, which will then be the 22nd, we'll be probably somewhere around Aberlour or Craigellachie. So maybe the Highlander Inn or something like that. Just keep an eye on the social media feeds. And if you're nearby, who knows, you might be able to stop by and say hello. This Fettercairn is pretty magic. Finished. Wow, I must be enjoying it. Alchemist is saying, Aquaviti, my 91-year-old dad is excited to meet you and Kilted Moose as much as catching up with Freddie. Will be a blast. Hope we can get you back for the vPub patrons. Yeah. Let's see what we can do. I don't think it's a question of me getting back here. I think it's me getting back here in good shape. And I've never met Freddie Ling. I've never met Fred Ling at all yet. It's bizarre. It's kind of, he's in Glasgow. The offices are in Glasgow. It's just never happened yet. Andrew saying, can I suggest an idea? With the sample bag you send out, each person that goes to can start a small Solera bottle that goes into each person. Each person can add to the bottle. Similar to the theme that we did a couple of weeks ago, Andrew. It's a good idea as well. And also, I think what the good thing about the Solera thing, I mean, it's difficult. If you're sharing samples, there is an element of introduce somebody to something that they can maybe go out and find or buy or something or whatever. And that's obviously not the case with Solera. But if you're doing it blind, it would be good to put your Solera in the mix and say, can you pick out which one is from a Solera, from an Infinity bottle or something? That kind of thing. Because I think you can. I think you can taste when there's layers and layers of things. I think Solera and Infinity bottles can get very busy and confused, and I think it can come across sometimes. Tom is saying, Aquavita, do you think people will have a hard time understanding Bart's accent? Just kidding. I mean, in the UK, we've been brought up with American culture on TV. There's very few American accents I would say that we would have difficulty understanding. It's more likely to be the other way around, for sure, Tom. For sure. Okay, we're just a minute past 11. So we've done our draw. It's going to Jason Coates. We're in good shape. So Jason, I hope that you're looking forward to the samples and shipping it on to someone else. Passing the baton. Relay drams. Steve A is saying Solera bottle is a good idea, but that's really hard to try to build in tiny bottles. Yeah, but I think see where you're coming from. Andrew's idea was to kind of build. Yeah, I was talking about sharing a sample of a Solera or an Infinity bottle that you're doing at home. And Jason Coates is saying I am excellent. Okay, let's see who's interested in getting the quiz underway. The Whisky Franco is here. Good to see you, Whisky Franco. He's saying, all these whiskey meetups make me jealous. I am planning a Scotland trip next year. Cheers, Roy. Well, let me know if you're here, if there's a chance for us to say hello while you pass by, my friend. I'll try and make that happen. Thank you very much as well for your generous recent support on Patreon. The Alchemist is saying, excited for the whole thing. Sure, Fred will have some crackers for us to try. Wonderful. Okay, we've got Whiskey Bowman saying, quiz me. Quiz, I am ready. Per Christensen is in as well. Good to see you in, Per. The quiz is the same as normal if it's your first time here or if you're new to this idea. It's a multiple choice quiz. You keep your own scores. You're only playing against yourself. I think the last time that I did a public quiz, I tried to make it a wee bit easier and it was kind of good fun. And there were some really good, strong scores came in. I don't know how these ones are tonight. Maybe there are a few that are a wee bit trickier, but some of them are quite easy. Pegelstrand is in. He said, evening, Roy. I'm late to the party, but just in time for the quiz, it seems. Yes, you are, my friend. Welcome in. Good to see you back again. Stephen Davison is saying, quiz, quiz, quiz. Mashburn is in. Good to see you in, my friend. He's saying, that's Ross saying, later, Roy. Glad to have caught part of a live. It's been a while. Yes, I know that these time zones make it difficult for people, and I appreciate everybody that drops in. Thank you so much. Mark Harris saying, let's do this. So let's get it ready. Let's make sure this is still connected. Fill up the camera. Okay. I've had some problems with the camera tonight. So I am pink generally in life. I'm generally pink, but as I pull up this camera, I realize that I'm looking pinker than usual. It's maybe the cast strength whiskey, right? Okay. Let's get the quiz underway. 11:05. Good timing tonight. Okay, multiple choice. Please keep your own scores. Halfway through, I'll ask you how we're getting on and see who's scoring well. And good luck. Question 1. By market share, Glenfiddich is the world's largest Scotch. But who takes second spot? Who is second in terms of market share as the world's largest branded Scotch, of course, I'm talking about. Who's number 2 behind Glenfiddich? Is it A, the Macallan, B, Glenmorangie, or C, Glenlivet? A, Macallan, B, Glenmorangie, or C, Glenlivet. And what's interesting about all of the distilleries I'm listing, they're all going through massive expansion programs. But I'm not talking about capacity or anything like that. I'm talking about in terms of brand market share. Wow, almost everybody, hammer blow saying C. Almost no one Mark Slinger has deviated from C. Let's see. Love Street Whiskey Bowman has said A. Love Street said C. Okay, let's see. Is it C? It is, of course, Glenlivet. Glenlivet. Now, in response to that, Glenlivet is going to become, I think maybe they are already, kind of, certainly this year, they'll probably become the biggest single malt distiller in Scotland with a theoretical capacity of over 20 million litres. But in terms of a brand, Glenlivet globally is number 2 behind Glenfiddich, followed by Macallan in number 3. I bet if you flipped that to be less about brand and volume, market share by brand, I wonder if it's a fiscal measurement, because I would be surprised it could easily be Macallan in number 2, right? Especially with that huge 15 million litre facility they have going up there now. Okay, question 2. St Killian Distillery is located in A, South Africa, B, Ireland, or C, Germany. St Killian Distillery is located in either A, South Africa, B, Ireland, or C, Germany. Where is St Killian? As I finish my wee Longmorn. I did a very easy laid-back quiz on my Patreon stream last week. It was good fun. For a while on the Patreon-only streams, the patrons were getting a wee bit annoyed because they weren't getting a quiz at the end. And there are a lot of people that don't stay for the quiz, and I completely understand that, but there are people that really love the quiz and they like hanging around to stay to the end. So I've started to do that for my patrons as well. I think it's only fair. But last week I had Rob from Whisky and a Six come on and we did a quiz together. It was quite good fun. Okay, wow, everybody's kind of all over the place here. A lot of people thinking that St Killian is in Ireland. Let's have a look. St Killian is in actual fact in Germany. So let's see if Hoagie Bear is still in, or Macallan Fine and Rare, if those guys are still in, our German friends. Yeah, Macallan Fine and Rare answered C quite rightly. Was in very, very early. St Killian is quite a small distillery. I don't even know if I'm pronounced it correctly by saying St Killian. It certainly sounds Irish to me. Oops, I've still got that on the quiz. It certainly sounds a wee bit Irish to me. But it's German. It's made in Scottish stills. That's all I know, is that the stills were from Forsyths in Scotland. And it's one of the few small distilleries in Germany that concentrate fully on making whiskey rather than other distilled spirits. Excellent. Okay, question 3. So if you said Germany, give yourself a point. I think a bit of a banana skin, sorry, for a lot of people there. Question 3, the Glenglassaugh includes 3 NAS expressions, non-age statement, NAS expressions of Torfa, which is peated, Evolution, which is an American oak, but what's their third non-age statement? Is it A, Revival from Oloroso casks? Is it B, Renaissance from Sherry cask? Or is it C, Rare cask from Madeira? So Glenglassaugh has 3 non-age statements at its core range. Torfa, which is peated, Evolution, which is from American oak. And then the third one, is it A, Revival, B, Renaissance, or C, Rare cask? What do we think? Okay, there's a few people saying B for Glenglassaugh Renaissance, but most of you seem to think it's A. Let's have a wee look. Glenglassaugh's third non-age statement core expression is coincidentally the exact same as the sister distillery Glendronach. They also have a revival from Sherry cask, albeit now it has a bit of PX in it, and it also has an age statement from Glendronach at 15 years old. But the Glenglassaugh revival from Oloroso cask is non-age statement. If you answered A, give yourself a point as we move on to question 4, and it's a Glenmorangie question. Which of these is a Glenmorangie release? Is it Glenmorangie Dornoch, A? Is it Glenmorangie Ailsa, B? Or is it Glenmorangie Amulet, C? I know. I don't know how you're feeling about these questions tonight. Is it Glenmorangie Dornoch, Glenmorangie Ailsa, or Glenmorangie Amulet? That Fetter Cairn was gorgeous. Just kept a tiny wee sip of it so I can finish on that. But the Longmorn was pretty tasty too. Connor Strang is saying A. Chris Muir is saying B. Whiskey Freedom C. Wow, this is all over the place, this one. No clear, consistent pattern, although A seems to be quite popular. Jason Whiskey Wise is answering A. Let's have a wee look. Glenmorangie, released in 2014, I believe. Dornoch. Glenmorangie Dornoch. Now, from memory, from when I made this quiz, Dornoch was, I think it was ex-peated and Amontillado, but don't quote me on that because I'm just going from memory. Dornoch is, of course, very close by location, but also the thing that threw me in there is obviously Dornoch is now a distillery. But yes, they had an expression, Glenmorangie Dornoch. So if you answered A for Dornoch, give yourself a point as we move into the image question for the halfway point, question 5. Look at this image. And of course, as usual, just tell me where you think that distillery is. I'll give you the options and then I'll remove it so you can look at this quite nice picture again. Now, obviously, you can see that it's under construction. There's a guy there in a high-vis vest, so it kind of gives away a wee bit that it's a new distillery. But of course, I've given you the options along those lines. Is it A, Torrevik, B, Lindors, or C, Ardnamurchan? Jason Whiskey Wise is saying Amontillado, just like the Tane at Aquavite. I trust you, Jason. I know your channel was founded on Glenmorangie, I think. So let me remove those options again. Is it A, Torrevik, B, Lindors, or C, Ardnamurchan that we are looking at here? What do you think? It's an interesting pagoda roof. Kind of looks like that's been nailed on. It looks like felt to me. It doesn't look like a very substantial Doig ventilator. No doubt it's there for decoration only. I don't think that's a working kiln, of course. It's there just to look nice, but it's quite curious. What are we looking at, though? Lots of people seem to think we're looking, oh, it's a wee bit all over the place. Willie Dollier is in. He thinks it's Ardnamurchan. Good to see you, Willie. Jules, GUK, thinks that it is Torrevik. Whiskey Bowman Chris thinks it's Torrevik, as does Marku Makinen. Good to see you in, Marku. George Leyland is saying A. Connor Strang, A. Multi-Agus Muncher, A. Steve, A. Michael Johnson, A. Lots of people think Torrevik. Let's have a wee look. It is, in fact, Torrevik on Skye. So there you go. If you thought that was Torrevik Distillery, now running spirit, now maturing spirit, not been to have a look at it yet, but it's Torrevik on Skye. Lindors in Fife and Ardnamurchan on the Western Highlands. All new distilleries, of course. What was the second one again? The white spot. The Patreon bottle. Jason, you need to tell me what that is. If you're still in, Malt Review's still in, if you can read that. That's what I can't read here. I don't know what that actually says. How are your scores at the halfway point? Okay, there's a few 5 out of 5s tonight. Wow. Wow, fantastic, guys. Let's see. Whiskey Dram, 4 out of 5. Daniel Vermaas, 4 out of 5. Let's scroll through. Michael Johnson, a 4 out of 5. Jules, 3 out of 5. Ebhead, 4 out of 5. Jens Roger Christofferson, 4 out of 5. Mark Harris saying 5 out of 5. No way. Scott Monroe is saying 5 out of 5. Fantastic. Sid Martin, 5 out of 5. Matthew Multi-Haggis Muncher, 5 out of 5. Wow, have I made it easy? Or are you just very, very knowledgeable folk? I think it's the latter. Jason Coates, 5 out of 5, but he's admitting that 2 of those are guesses. Any other 5s? Okay, it's flashing past a bit fast. I'm sorry if I've missed any of you on 5 out of 5. The Alchemist Sevi is also on 5 out of 5 as well. Fantastic. Good stuff, guys. Okay, we'll move into the second half, see if you can keep the good scores. It's a Game of Thrones question. In Diageo's Game of Thrones releases, which of these malts was matched to House Tyrrell? I know, it's terrible, isn't it? I'm going to do this quickly to save you Googling. House Tyrrell, was it A, Royal Lochnagar, B, Clynelish, or C, Glendullan? Was it A, Royal Lochnagar, B, Clynelish, or C, Glendullan? Do you notice I'm pronouncing Clynelish slower now? Because a lot of people were thinking that I pronounce it Clynelish, where I don't. It's just because I was saying it so fast. Clynelish, Clynelish, Clynelish. But it's Clynelish. Let's have a wee look. Lots of people seem to think this is B for Clynelish for House Tyrrell. I would have no clue about this, honestly. I don't know how it's been matched up. It doesn't make any sense to me. But it is, in fact, B for Clynelish. So if you think that if you thought that House Tyrrell was Clynelish, you're absolutely right. Give yourself a point if you answered B. Good stuff. Question 7. Which of these new distilleries is, in fact, a welcome resurrection of an old one? So what I'm talking about there, it doesn't need to just recently have closed down. It's not like a Glendronach or an Ardbeg type scenario, but a new distillery that is on the site and a resurrection of a long-standing or an ancient old distillery. Maybe ancient isn't the right word. Is it A, Daft Mill, B, Strathearn, or C, Annandale? A, Daft Mill, B, Strathearn, or C, Annandale. So there we have 3 new distilleries. Kind of the theme here, you might notice with the earlier question I showed you with the image question as well, is just the amount of new distilleries there are. There are a lot. Steve is saying, not how it's matched up either, Aquavite, but I know the pairings. Good for you, Steve. I don't really have much recollection. The only one I know is Oban is the Night's Watch, right? The black bottle. Everybody seems to think that this one is C, with very few people answering outside of C as the option. And of course, the answer is C. Annandale was a distillery that was originally active. In fact, it was a contributor to Johnnie Walker blends back in the day, but it closed in the downturn during the 1920s, which would have had a lot to do with the general financial climate back then, but also to do with prohibition in the States and things. But it was closed in the 20s. And Annandale, to an extent, has been able to ignite life back into some of the original buildings there. So Annandale producing again after being shuttered and silent for almost a century. Kind of cool. Okay, let's go on to question 8. 3 questions to go. Which of these distilleries are said to distill 2.81 times? Which of these are said to distill 2.81 times? Bit of a geeky question here, but you'll probably know what the distillery is because they're actively advertising it now. Is it A, Benrinnes, B, Springbank, or C, Mortlach? A, Benrinnes, B, Springbank, or C, Mortlach? It's only a matter of time before somebody asks me to explain what 2.81 distillation is. And I could only give the most rudimentary of explanations. I don't know how many people actually understand it. Distillers, we hope. Listen, this wasn't a difficult one for most of you. Of course, every single one of these options operate or have operated partial triple distillation, which is 2.81 times in the case of this distillery, which of course is Mortlach. Benrinnes used to do it up until about 2007, but they're down to double distillation just now. And Springbank, of course, have their own version of partial triple distillation as well. But I think Springbank do it a wee bit differently with their intermediate still. They run 2 or 3 times through their intermediate still and feed it back into the faints receiver. Whereas at Mortlach, it's 2.81 times using Whisky. Now, if I had to go from memory, I think I would struggle a wee bit, but I think what they do is they split the distillate from the wash still, 20% of it goes through Whisky and gets fed back in through the wash still again. I think, don't quote me on that. But certainly the calculation is 2.81 times distillation, partial triple distillation. And on the most recent packaging, you can see Mortlach talking about that. I managed to get a wee weekend in Spain last weekend. We had some cancelled flights that we had to reuse and rearrange, and we managed to get it for the bank holiday weekend. Going through duty free, there wasn't much that grabbed my attention, but the 16-year-old Mortlach did. And I grabbed it and I picked it up. And I have to say the Mortlach character there is there in spades. You know, the savoury element is there, the kind of weight, the beefiness. It's really quite a challenging whiskey. It's not an obvious, it's not an easy to drink, light, delicate thing. It really is a bit of a beast, as it's called, the beast of Dufftown, right? But I did wonder, is it not just a fraction soft? I would love to see a whiskey like that presented at 46%. I mean, it's famous for being one of those whiskies that you can throw that in active European oak for really double figures, 20 years more, longer, and it really holds up. It's such a powerful spirit that it does very well in active, really powerful wood, like active European oak, for a long time. And it does very well in that environment as well. I think Gordon MacPhail famously bottled a 75-year-old Mortlach. However, the 16-year-old is bottled at 43.4%, which is better than 40, I guess, better than it could have been, but I would just love that to be just a wee bit higher. But I know I'm asking for too much a lot of the time. Question 9, which UK-based YouTube channel has just celebrated 3 years and 3K subs? So this channel, within about a few days, celebrated their 3rd anniversary and hit 3,000 subscribers as well. He's doing really, really well. But, you know, it just goes to show how much effort is involved. YouTube is not an easy ladder to climb, for sure. Is it A, Whisky Wednesday, B, No Nonsense Whisky, or C, Jason Whisky Wise? So you can see what I mean by my comment there. Each of these channels have a bunch of content out there, really committed, passionate guys, all of them, with for the most part, very, very regular, in some cases weekly or twice weekly content. Very, very dedicated guys. And of course, most of you know that it is my wingman, Jason Whisky Wise. So I'd like to raise a wee glass for Jason and say thank you very much for looking after me on these vPubs for so long, my friend. I'm hoping you do finally make it up to Glasgow next weekend. There's a place at the table for you, of course, and I hope you make it. I'll raise a glass and say congratulations, Jason, on 3,000 subs. But of course, I'm saying congratulations for 3 years doing something that can be very difficult at times. Slant you, big guy. Final question coming up. How are we getting on? 7 out of 9 for Vito. Well done. Great score, Vito. Prestige Liquids. Andrew is also on 7 out of 9. Gregor and Francis on 8 out of 9. Wonderful score. Whiskey Franco, 6 out of 9. Michael Johnson. Hello, Michael. Well, good to welcome you in. Saying 8 out of 9. Nathan is only just in the door, but he's got 100% on 1 out of 1. Good for you, Nathan, and good to welcome you in. Ebhead, 7 out of 9. Moz Tunes, 7 out of 9. Matt, 69. Good to see you, Matt. 6 out of 9. Multi Haggis Muncher is on Full House at 9 out of 9. Matthew, can you hold it together for the last question? Oh, maybe it's a tricky one. I'm not sure. Jason is saying thank you, Aquavite, and thank you all. Fantastic. Jason Coates, 9 out of 9. It's your night tonight, Jason. Well done. Sevi the Alchemist is saying 9 out of 9 as well. Kilted Moose, 9 out of 9. Wonderful, guys. Superb. Stevie, 8 out of 9. Any other 9 out of 9s out there? Oh, it's jumped. Sid Martin is on 9 out of 9. Sid, you star. Good for you. Good scores tonight. Vito is saying, where's the banana question? Well, that's the thing, is that it's difficult to know what what the banana questions are. Fraser Whiskey Freedom is saying 10 out of 9. Is that optimism, Fraser? Okay, let's have a look. Last question. Let's see so many of you can hit that 10 out of 10 tonight. Question 10. Which standard release features a boat embossed into the glass bottle? So this is a core expression from this distillery. On the bottle, there is a silhouette, a boat embossed onto the glass. Which distillery is it? Is it A, Old Pulteney? Is it B, Talisker? Or is it C, Scapa? A, Old Pulteney, B, Talisker, or C, Scapa? Tell me what you think. Jason Coates is saying, I was 9 out of 9 last week and missed it. Oh, maybe tonight, Jason. Let's see how it's coming in. Oh, maybe it is a banana skin, because the first 3 answers is C, B, and A. Wow. Then it falls to a majority. Lots of people think A. Lots of people think A. So Vito, this is quite a spread. Could this be the banana question? Could this be the one that trips everyone up? Now, I should have included a picture of this as I tell you that the one that has the boat embossed onto the glass is C, Scapa. Now, I put down 3 kind of maritime flavoured distilleries there, so it could have been any of them, but I think we know that Talisker doesn't have nothing, doesn't have anything in the way of embossing going on. But Old Pulteney certainly does, but it has a compass. And the base of it is very cool. In the base of Old Pulteney, if you lift it up, you can see a compass. The Alchemist is saying no. Vito is saying, gosh dang it. Daniel Vermaas is on 9 out of 10. You star, great score. Let's see. Jason Whiskey Weiss has put a banana emoji. Vito is saying he called it. Triquetra UK is saying just checked. Fantastic. Did anybody hang on for 10 out of 10? Surely you did. Surely you did. Surely that wasn't a huge banana skin right at the end. That would be cruel. It wouldn't be intentionally cruel. The Alchemist is saying, I changed right to wrong, Aquaviti. Disaster, Sid Martin. Get in, have the other 2. Fantastic. 10 out of 10, Sid. Well done. Fantastic. Multi-Haggis Muncher Matthew is saying 10 out of 10. Dodge the banana skin. Good for you, Matthew. Anybody else? Who else was in with 9 out of 9? Looking for a 10 out of 10. Anyone else get it? Lots of people just missed out, I think, tonight. 2 of you, Sid and Matthew, got 10 out of 10. Somebody's dead chuff. Matt69's dead chuff with 7 out of 10. Excellent score, Matt. Absolutely great. I mean, honestly, 5, 6 and above is a strong pass mark. These quizzes aren't easy. Christine Deems, Jason Coates got a 10 out of 10. You star, Jason. Jason Coates, browser crashed. What was the answer? The answer was Scapa, Jason. So if you answered Scapa, you got 10 out of 10 as well. Like I said, it is your night tonight. The reason I do these quizzes is, it's fun. Some of the questions are just in there for kicks, right? The Jason Whiskey Wise one was just in it to acknowledge how hard that guy's worked over 3 years. Some of it is just, nonsense. But the majority of it is kind of things that intrigue me, and I think, oh, that's kind of cool. And it maybe piques your curiosity and makes you kind of want to go off and find out a wee bit more or understand a wee bit more. And there's no doubt that from time to time I will make mistakes with these quizzes, but there are no prizes at stake. It's just pride, kudos, and fun. And I hope you continue to enjoy them. Richard Hall is saying, what's the par this week, Roy? I think I parred with a 6. I think you did. I think that sounds reasonable, Richard. I think it does sound a bit right. Maybe a wee bit softer, the quiz this week. But I also have a theory that I think it's got a lot to do with the knowledge building, not just in this community, but in the whiskey community in general. We're all quite impassioned about discovering more about this thing and what it does to us, right? Bloody money, it's St. Ball here. Okay. I am super excited about next weekend, of course. The Glasgow thing I'm looking forward to. There's going to be an opportunity for me to meet so many of you that I only know by name. There's people coming in from Norway, from Belgium, from Holland, from Hungary, from Germany, from England, from New Zealand. There's people coming from the New Zealanders. Of course, there's a bunch of people from the States as well. It's just a fantastic kind of gathering of community. For the tasting in the afternoon, of course, and for the gathering, the main event, the gathering at the Bon Accord that night. As you walk in the Bon Accord, you'll be immediately greeted by the bar. If you walk past the bar, we'll have an area, hopefully. It gets busy in the Bon Accord from time to time. We'll have an area down the back that's kind of got space for us, and we'll all be there. And there are people that you can't miss. You obviously know what I look like, but Bart from the Scotch Test Dummies is 6'6" and tends to stand a wee bit above everyone else. Really excited about that. But if you can't make it, this will not be the last time, I hope, that we're able to put something like this together. And I know and I hear of more and more events being held up and down and all over the place. Last year there was a few in the States. I'm looking forward to going back to Texas again. We've got the London Whisky Club holding monthly events down there. There's opportunities for us not to live our life in the digital world, right? This is just where we share it. This is just a good platform to do this. But we can get out and we can kind of do real things like this sample exchange that we've talked about tonight. You can do real things to connect real people and see that it's not just icons, handles, avatars, and emojis, that it is actually real people with fun things to share. Spiritworks Thomas saying, Agua so sad to miss. Next weekend, weekends are my busiest work time. I know, I can imagine you're working in the on-trade down there, aren't you, Tom? Listen, you might not be able to make it this time, but next time. Daniel Vermas is saying he's also in 6.6. Oh wow, you're 6'6" as well, Daniel. And the doc is also tall. Yeah, the doc isn't 6'6", but he is tall. Nigel Slynn is saying, gutted I can't make it up from Northeast England next week. So close, but so far. But it means that you're able to come next time, perhaps, Nigel. Next time. John Pallister has just sent across a virtual dram. Thank you very much, John. Saying thanks once again for your great vPub, Roy. Thank you, John. You're very welcome, and it's a pleasure to have you in supporting. Thank you, my friend. Jean de la Cuisine is saying, Aquavita, we need a Whiskey Tuber world tour. I don't know about a tour, but there's an event brewing. It's building momentum. I'm not hosting it, but I'm excited about an event, not in this country, but I'm excited about what's happening in Texas. So hold that thought, Nigel. Sorry, Jean de la Cuisine. Whiskey Bowman, Chris is saying, thanks for the vPub, Roy. Hopefully catch up with many of you next week. Chris, I'm going to be able to spot you. I know you don't remember me from school, but I remember you, and I think I'll be able to spot you. Maybe I won't. It's been a few years, hasn't it? It's been 30 years. Jason Whiskey Wise is saying, thank you, Aquavita, for the vPub, and thank you all for joining. Wish you a great weekend ahead, and slant you. Jason, you're always a gentleman. Thank you so much for looking after me once more again tonight. Raymaster, I've just noticed Jason's direct message. Raymaster was asking, hi, Roy, do you know yet if you'll be at the Fisheel this year? No, I'll be there the week before. So I won't be there. So Raymaster, if you're going to Fisheel, you're a lucky guy. You're going to have a blast. Fisheel is really, it's about Islay and the whiskey, of course, but when you go to Fisheel, it's about the people and the party and the community and the kind of shared experience of it all. You're going to have an absolute blast if you are going. Vito is saying, happy belated birthday, Roy. Thank you very, very much, Vito. Yes, it was my birthday last Sunday. Krishmir is saying, why does these 2 hours pass so quick? I think that's wonderful for you to say that, Krishmir. I really do, because honestly, I wonder myself as I host these things where the 2 hours go to. It's just kind of me droning on. And the fact that people want to hang out and have me droning on as you kind of share drams together and things is always curious to me. But as long as you're enjoying it, I think I'll enjoy bringing it. So thanks for joining tonight, my friend, and thank you for those kind words. Triketra is saying, looking forward to the meetup. Unfortunately, working on a Sunday, so need to be on soft drinks for most of the night. think we'll all be playing a wee bit of that game, because it's not just about kind of the early starts and things. It's about when you kind of have this Whisky week thing that we're talking about doing, you need to keep the levels under control. Tiredness can catch up with you quite quickly. Certainly not good for health. Gregor is saying, oh, happy late birthday, Roy. Thank you, Gregor. And is saying, we enjoy it, Roy. Thank you very much. Tasmanian Whisky Taster, good to see you in. Tasmanian Whisky Taster, welcome. I know if you're in Tasmania, it's going to be early in the morning for you. Please find an excuse to visit Tasmania sometime, Whisky peeps. See you all off to work. Enjoy your working day, and that's a great idea. But a hell of a hike. But no further than it is for you to come here, right? Vito is saying, have a good one, Tasmanian Whisky Taster. Don't work too hard. Thanks to everyone for joining tonight. Like I said, a week from now will be the day I'm at Douglas Lane in the afternoon. I think I'll be back early enough to host a live stream. So just keep an eye on the channel, and you'll see the placeholder pop up for the stream. If that appears, I'll be able to do the vPub as normal. The week after will be hopefully with the Scotch Test Dummies, but only if we can find a decent strong internet connection in the hotel. When the dummies are here on the Friday, just to mention quickly, we're very fortunate that we're going to be hosted by Ben and the team at the Scotch Malt Whisky Society in Leith at the Vaults. Now, I was going to take Scott and Bart there anyway, so the fact that Ben is in town at the same time and can host us there is just perfect timing, wonderful opportunity. Ben has also suggested that we can do a live stream from the Vaults, so I'm going to schedule that tonight or tomorrow and post that in there. It'll be in the afternoon of next Friday, next Friday is the 17th. And that will kind of kick off the week that I'll be taking the dummies, Scott and Bart, to various places around Scotland, various whisky-themed spots. And we'll be able to talk to you from the vaults. That will be on my channel. And then immediately afterwards, there'll be a short live stream as well, goes out on the Scotch Taste Dummies channel. So you can stay in touch for that. Watch the social media feeds to find out where we are and what we're doing. And we will try to keep you informed and in the loop as long as we have time, energy, and an internet connection, right? Thank you all so much. I'm going to hold up the last of this surprise tonight. My favourite dram in this lineup was actually a Fetter Cairn. It's just so waxy. It just reminds me so much of Clynelish. It's quite incredible. Quite incredible. So until next week, stay in touch, and thank you everybody for joining in. Thank you all for your virtual drams and for hanging out with me for another Thursday vPub. Hope to see you next week in the lounge for another one. Take care, folks.